$1 billion. In 2012, Facebook paid $1 billion for Instagram, a company with just 13 employees, zero revenue, and an app that, well, put filters on photos. Was it genius, insanity, or perhaps the single most strategic move of the decade? This wasn't just about buying a popular app. It was a move that would reshape the digital landscape, spark intense internal conflict, and eventually lead to the departure of Instagram's founders under a cloud of tension. What really happened behind those filtered squares? Welcome to CEO's Library, the 1% bookshelf, the podcast that distills the world's most impactful business and personal development books into actionable insights for leaders like you. Today on CEO's Library, we're pulling back the curtain on one of the most fascinating tech stories of our time, guided by Sarah Frier's meticulously researched book, No Filter, The Inside Story of Instagram. We're filtering out the noise to bring you the core strategic lessons from Instagram's meteoric journey, from a near-failure pivot that birthed a unicorn to navigating the treacherous waters of a game-changing acquisition by a tech titan, and the seismic culture clash that followed when Silicon Valley craftsmanship met relentless, data-driven growth. We'll explore how they achieved hypergrowth, not through complexity, but through radical simplicity. We'll dissect the high-stakes negotiation that sealed their fate within Facebook, and we'll uncover the tough, often uncomfortable lessons learned when artistic vision collides with algorithmic scale. These aren't just stories from the tech bubble. They are profound insights into strategy, leadership, culture, and the very nature of building products that impact millions, even billions of lives. Insights you can apply whether you're steering a startup from 0 to 1, leading a division within a global corporation, or simply trying to understand the forces shaping our modern world. Stick around as we unpack the billion-dollar filter. Imagine this scenario. You've poured your heart, soul, and a considerable chunk of venture capital, let's say $500,000, into your brilliant new app, Bourbon. It's brimming with all the right buzzwords for the early 2010s mobile, social, location sharing, check-ins, photos, gaming mechanics. It has everything, and perhaps that was the problem. Despite some early adopter enthusiasm, Bourbon feels messy. It's clunky, confusing to navigate, and frankly, it's not gaining the traction you need. The pressure is mounting. What do you do? Most founders in this position would iterate. They'd tweak a feature here, redesign a screen there, maybe add another bell or whistle, hoping that will be the magic bullet. But Kevin Systrom and Mike Krieger, the co-founders, did something far more radical, something that required immense discipline and clarity of thought. They didn't just tweak, they took a hard look at the data, observed actual user behavior, and prepared to kill their darlings. This brings us to our first core insight from No Filter. The immense power of focus, pivoting, and strategic simplicity. Systrom and Krieger noticed something crucial. Amidst the noise of Bourbon's many features, people weren't really using the check-ins or the complicated point systems. What they were doing, despite the app's limitations, was posting photos. Mobile photography was exploding thanks to the iPhone, but the experience was often frustrating. Photos looked mediocre, straight from the phone's camera. Uploading them took ages over slow mobile networks, and sharing them across different social platforms was a pain. Systrom and Krieger diagnosed the core problem. People wanted to share their lives through photos on their phones, but the tools were inadequate. So they made a brutal decision. They stripped Bourbon down to its studs. They decided to build a new app, focused solely on solving those specific photo sharing problems. Everything else was jettisoned. This wasn't Bourbon 2.0. This was something entirely new, born from the ashes of the old idea. They called it Instagram. And look at the choices they made, choices that seemed almost counterintuitive at the time. First, square photos only. In a world of varying aspect ratios, this constraint forced a certain aesthetic, made the feed visually consistent, and echoed the nostalgic feel of Polaroid prints. Like Twitter's character limit, the constraint fostered creativity and simplicity. Second, filters. This was the killer feature. Mobile phone cameras weren't great yet. Instagram's filters, developed with an eye for artistry, could instantly transform a mundane snapshot into something visually appealing, something worth sharing. It democratized good photography. Third, speed. They obsessed over making the app fast and reliable, minimizing friction at every step. Uploading and browsing had to feel effortless. Finally, what didn't they build? No resharing initially, no complex profiles, just follow, post, like, with that now iconic double tap, and comment. It was radically simple compared to feature-laden competitors. They also strategically seeded the app, not by blasting it everywhere, but by carefully inviting designers, artists, and influential creatives, building a community with a certain taste level from day one. The application for us as leaders is incredibly potent. Don't fall in love with your complex solution or your initial grand vision if it's not resonating. Fall in love with solving a fundamental user problem in the simplest, most elegant way possible. Instagram's triumph wasn't based on inventing revolutionary technology. It was about brilliant execution of simple solutions tailored perfectly to user needs and desires at that specific moment. Ask yourself and your teams, what is the absolute core value we deliver to our customers? Are our new features, processes, or initiatives simplifying their lives or adding complexity? Where can we ruthlessly strip away the non-essential to strengthen the core offering? This minimum viable product mindset isn't just a lean startup tactic, it's a strategic discipline for focusing resources. Whether you're launching something new or refining an established product line, it's about clarity over clutter, impact over inertia. Now, let's fast forward about 18 months. Instagram isn't just an app anymore, it's a cultural phenomenon. It's growing at an astonishing rate, purely through word of mouth, and its inherent appeal. Kevin Systrom has just navigated a complex Series B funding round, raising $50 million at a $500 million valuation. He feels vindicated. Instagram is poised to become a standalone giant, a true competitor in the social media landscape, perhaps even the next Facebook or Twitter. He's celebrating this milestone, feeling the wind at his back. Then his phone rings. It's Mark Zuckerberg. And Zuckerberg doesn't want to talk about partnerships. He wants to buy Instagram, not eventually, now, this weekend. And he's not offering a small premium. He's offering $1 billion, double the valuation. Instagram secured just days earlier. Imagine being Systrom. The ink is barely dry on your massive funding round, signaling independence and future growth. What forces are truly swirling around this sudden, incredibly aggressive offer, far beyond the headline-grabbing price tag? This moment, vividly captured in No Filter, reveals our second key area, the brutal realities and high-stakes strategy of tech acquisitions, viewed from both sides of the table. For Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook, this wasn't just about acquiring a cool photo app. It was deeply strategic, driven by a potent mix of opportunity and fear. Firstly, Instagram represented a clear and present danger, particularly on mobile. Facebook, at that time, was struggling with its transition to mobile. Its app was clunky, and its core experience was web-first. Instagram was mobile-native, visually dominant, and captivating users in a way Facebook wasn't. Zuckerberg saw the threat early. Secondly, it was a defensive move. Facebook had famously tried and failed to acquire Twitter years earlier, a decision Zuckerberg reportedly regretted. He saw Instagram as potentially the next major social platform, and he was determined not to let it fall into the hands of a competitor like Google, or worse, Twitter itself. Acquiring Instagram was about neutralizing a threat and owning the future of mobile social sharing. It was an aggressive assertion of dominance. For Kevin Systrom, the decision was agonizing. $1 billion was, of course, life-changing money for him, his small team, and his early investors. But it wasn't just about the cash. Selling meant giving up the dream of building Instagram into an independent powerhouse. However, staying independent meant going head-to-head with Facebook, a leviathan known for its ruthlessness. Zuckerberg made it clear, implicitly and perhaps explicitly, that if Instagram didn't sell, Facebook would deploy its vast resources to crush it, potentially by launching a direct competitor, a tactic Facebook later employed with its Poke app, widely seen as an Instagram clone attempt. Selling offered access to Facebook's infrastructure, engineering talent, and massive user base, accelerating Instagram's growth trajectory exponentially. Crucially, Systrom extracted a promise from Zuckerberg. Instagram would continue to operate independently, maintaining its brand, its team, and its unique culture within the Facebook empire. This promise of independence was the linchpin that made the deal palatable beyond the staggering sum. The negotiation itself, as Frier details, was intense, conducted over a single weekend with immense pressure and speed, classic negotiation tactics to force a decision. The applications here are vital for any leader involved in M&A, whether buying or selling. If you're the acquirer, be crystal clear about your strategic rationale. Are you buying growth, acquiring specific talent or technology, or are you primarily neutralizing a competitive threat? Understanding the deep why beyond the financial model is crucial for justifying the price and planning the integration. As Zuckerberg demonstrated, sometimes the strategic value transcends conventional metrics. If you're the potential seller, you need to define what you truly value beyond the acquisition price. Is it financial security, access to resources, preserving your team or culture, your company's legacy? Systrom prioritized independence, negotiating hard for that promise. But as the story unfolds, we see how fragile such promises can be. Understand the cultural alignment or misalignment with the potential acquirer. Scrutinize the commitments being made, because those commitments, especially around autonomy and culture, will inevitably be tested under the pressures of integration and corporate priorities. So the deal is done. $1 billion. Instagram, the cool kid on the block, is now part of Facebook, the established giant. The promise of independence hangs in the air. But Instagram wasn't just an app. It was a culture built on aesthetics, a curated sense of community, and a certain indefinable cool factor. Its small team prioritized craft, user experience, and artistic expression. Facebook, on the other hand, ran on data, relentless A/B testing, algorithmic optimization, and the infamous mantra, move fast and break things, later softened to move fast with stable infra. What happens when you try to fuse these fundamentally different operating systems, these distinct corporate philosophies? Can a brand meticulously built on craft and community survive, let alone thrive, inside a machine engineered for hyperscale growth and data-driven decision-making? The tension was palpable almost immediately. This leads us to our third critical theme from No Filter, the inevitable, often brutal, culture clash that occurs during post-acquisition integration, especially between companies with divergent values. Sarah Frier masterfully illustrates this through numerous examples. Facebook leadership, including Zuckerberg, was obsessed with user growth metrics. Daily active users (DAUs), monthly active users (MAUs), time spent. Instagram's leadership particularly Systrom, while understanding the importance of growth, prioritized the quality of the user experience, the health of the community, and the integrity of the brand's aesthetic. This difference manifested constantly. Facebook pushed for growth tactics that felt alien, even distasteful, to the Instagram team: aggressive cross-promotion, prominent share to Facebook buttons, more frequent and intrusive notifications, pushing users to tag friends relentlessly. Systrom and Frier often resisted, arguing these tactics would dilute the unique feel of Instagram and annoy its users, potentially harming long-term engagement, even if they provided short-term metric bumps. The hiring philosophies clashed too. Facebook aimed to hire the best, often defined by raw coding prowess and speed. Instagram sought the best, but with a strong emphasis on design sensibility, empathy for the user, and cultural fit. People who got Instagram. Resource allocation became a battleground. Instagram needed engineers, designers, and policy experts, but often felt like it had to fight for resources within the larger Facebook structure, which prioritized its core blue app. Frier recounts symbolic moments, like Systrom personally tearing down generic, corporate-looking motivational posters someone had put up in the Instagram space, insisting they maintain their own distinct environment. There's the famous anecdote, perhaps apocryphal but illustrative, dubbed Ord Gloteras Changates, where alleged disagreements over the type of trash cans appropriate for the Instagram office became a proxy for the larger cultural divide, aesthetics versus utilitarianism. Initially, Instagram absolutely benefited from Facebook's infrastructure, scaling servers, fighting spam, accessing powerful ad tools, but the underlying tension never disappeared. And Instagram fought constantly to protect its core values, summarized internally as community first, simplicity matters, and inspire creativity, against the relentless tide of Facebook's growth-hacking culture and data-driven mandates. The application for leaders navigating M&A or even significant internal reorganizations is profound. Post-acquisition integration isn't just about merging systems, it's where vast amounts of potential value can be created or destroyed based on how culture is managed. You must proactively address cultural differences. Don't assume they'll just sort themselves out. Define your core, non-negotiable values and principles with absolute clarity. How do you truly measure success? Is it purely quantitative growth, or do you consciously factor in qualitative aspects like brand perception, employee morale, and community health? For the acquired company, protecting your why, the essence of what made you special, becomes a critical, ongoing battle when absorbed into a larger entity with potentially different priorities and incentive structures. And for larger companies, acquiring innovative, nimble startups, ask yourselves honestly, are you creating an environment where the magic you paid a premium for can flourish, or are you inadvertently crushing it with bureaucracy, conflicting metrics, and cultural incompatibility? Nurturing acquired talent and culture requires deliberate effort and often significant restraint. Instagram began as a simple tool, a way to make your mobile photos look better and share them easily with friends, but platforms rarely stay simple, especially when they reach billions of users. Instagram evolved into something far larger, far more complex, and arguably far more consequential than its founders ever envisioned. It became a global stage, a powerful engine of culture, a launchpad for entirely new careers, a multi-billion-dollar influencer economy, a defining aesthetic for a generation sodaverse, Insta-worthy, and increasingly a subject of concern regarding mental health, social comparison, and even the spread of misinformation. How did a tool for sharing breakfast photos and sunsets morph into such a powerful, reality-shaping force? And what responsibility do the creators and owners of such platforms bear for their societal impact? This brings us to our fourth key insight from No Filter: understanding the profound power and the inherent peril of platform design choices and the unintended consequences of optimizing solely for engagement. Frier documents the organic, almost accidental rise of the influencer. Early users with large followings realized their posts could drive trends and sales, birthing a massive new economy based on personal branding, sponsored content, and aspirational lifestyles. This fundamentally changed marketing, turning individuals into media channels and blurring the lines between authenticity and commerce. The book touches on extreme examples, like the promotion of the disastrous Fire Festival, largely through Instagram influencers, highlighting the persuasive power and potential pitfalls of this new ecosystem. The platform's design itself began shaping behavior in subtle and not so subtle ways. The emphasis on visual perfection fostered the Instagram aesthetic, meticulously curated, often envy-inducing snapshots of life. While inspiring for some, numerous studies began linking heavy Instagram use, particularly among younger demographics, to increased anxiety, depression, loneliness, and negative body image, the phenomenon of compare and despair. The public visibility of like counts became a potent social currency, driving users to chase validation and conform to popular trends. Furthermore, the very algorithms designed to maximize engagement, showing users more of what keeps them scrolling, also created filter bubbles and, as investigations later revealed, inadvertently became vectors for misinformation campaigns, including foreign interference in elections. Instagram, initially perceived as a more positive space than Facebook, found itself grappling with the same complex challenges of content moderation, hate speech, and harmful content at an immense scale. The book highlights the internal debates and tensions between prioritizing user well-being versus maximizing growth metrics. Systrom, for instance, was reportedly concerned about the impact of like counts long before Facebook publicly experimented with hiding them. These design choices, the feed algorithm, the prominence of like counts, the features for interaction, weren't neutral. They actively shaped user behavior, cultural norms, and societal conversations, often in ways the creators hadn't fully anticipated. The application for us as leaders, particularly those building products or services that reach a wide audience, is critical. We must recognize that every platform, every product, every service shapes behavior through its design, its features, and the metrics it prioritizes. We need to think beyond the first-order effects. Does it work? Do people use it? And consider the second and third-order consequences. What behaviors are we implicitly or explicitly incentivizing? Are we optimizing for short-term engagement at the potential cost of long-term user trust or well-being? What are the potential downsides, the shadow impacts of our success? Building ethically and responsibly isn't just a public relations exercise, it's increasingly crucial for long-term business sustainability, attracting talent, and maintaining customer loyalty in an era of heightened scrutiny. Are we investing adequately in understanding, measuring, and mitigating the potential negative consequences of our platforms and products, alongside celebrating and amplifying the positive ones? This requires conscious effort, ongoing dialogue, and sometimes making difficult choices that might prioritize long-term health over short-term gains. So distilling the essence of Sarah Frier's No Filter, we uncover a rich tapestry of strategic lessons woven through Instagram's incredible journey. We see the transformative power of a courageous pivot, driven by an unwavering focus on solving a core user problem with elegant simplicity. We witness the complex calculus of a multi-billion-dollar acquisition, revealing the strategic imperatives, fears, and negotiation tactics that shape the destinies of companies, big and small. We confront the critical, often underestimated challenge of integrating vastly different corporate cultures, where the values of craft and community clashed head-on with the relentless drive for growth and data optimization. And finally, we grapple with the immense responsibility that comes with building platforms that don't just connect people, but actively shape their perceptions, behaviors, and the very fabric of modern culture. Kevin Systrom and Mike Krieger birthed a phenomenon by prioritizing artistry, user experience, and community, only to find those foundational values under constant immense pressure from the gravitational pull of Facebook's all-consuming growth engine, leading ultimately to their departure. As you reflect on these insights, consider your own organization, your own leadership challenges. Are you truly focused on the fundamental problem you solve for your customers, or are you lost in complexity? How are you navigating the delicate balance between achieving ambitious growth targets and nurturing a healthy, sustainable culture, and ensuring the well-being of your users or customers? What might be the unintended consequences of your success, and how are you preparing to address them? To truly immerse yourself in this gripping story of innovation, ambition, clashing egos, and the battle for the future of social media, a story with ramifications far beyond Silicon Valley, we highly recommend grabbing a copy of Sarah Frier's definitive account, No Filter, The Inside Story of Instagram. You can find the Amazon link directly in our episode description on your podcast player, or by visiting our website at ceoslibrary.com, where you can also find the full transcript and accompanying visualizations for this episode. Thank you for joining us on CEO's Library, the 1% bookshelf. Tune in next time as we unlock the insights from another game-changing book, helping you lead smarter and achieve more.